Alright guys, for those of you that tuned in for some Bound by Flame here, this will probably be the last one. This is the final boss battle on the hardest or captain difficulty. Alright, figured this would be a good way to end it. And here I have entered the World Heart. Those of you who have played the game are somewhat familiar with it. This is the last area. This is what we've been basically striving for the whole game. And I'm going to meet shadows of my NPCs and followers that I've met and dealt with during the game. And they're all going to accuse
Even able to keep safe those few who begged you for help. How can you possibly believe you have what it takes to save all of Vertiel from the Ice Lords?
Sybil was an old follower during most of the game.
Traitor! You were supposed to protect us. That was your contract.
I believe you have the option of killing all these spirit versions of your followers. These aren't actually them. Like I say, they're just kind of shadows.
But you prefer to take it by force. Condemn the freeborn blades through your pride and incompetence.
Captain?
You turned the knight away from his quest to satisfy your vile and misplaced passions.
Vile? Come on. It wasn't exactly like I had to force you.
The knight fights for the survival of the humanity. Vulcan has forgotten how to be part of that.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, but I think there's an object lesson here, and that your companions here are accusing you for bad motives for the actions you took, even when they weren't always bad, necessarily, and it's kind of for you to know.
You, I would never have been able to kill this whore of a traitor.
And those who you thought were allies weren't, and those who you thought weren't were, sort of, and there's gray areas there, and then everything is not just exactly black and white. And that's kind of the final lesson you learn in the way this game ends, is whether you've taken the demon path, which you see my character here is fully demonized. I was going for the full demon trophy to take all of the demon's offers and bargains. This is Darksiders 2 music too, by the way. To me, really reminds me of... that made Darksiders 2 almost magical. It was amazing how you had this going on in the background. Made it... oh, you could almost feel the Arctic wind flowing by as you rode along on your horse. It was cool. I love Darksiders 2. Anyway, that's what this reminds me of. But yeah, you get in here and your humanity isn't necessarily all right, all wrong, and the demon isn't necessarily all wrong, but not all right either. And you can see motive, and I don't know. It's just a lesson. You don't really question someone's motives just solely based on their actions. Alright, for those of you that are inquisitive, right, what I've done, without even going into the character tree and showing all the equipment and stuff like that, I don't really have to, I concentrated on daggers. Right, I found daggers to be easier because you can sprint during combat, and you can evade, as well as block. You don't block quite as effectively, you can get staggered through your block a little easier, but you evade 99% of the time with daggers anyway, or at least I do. I've got my... crossbow set up to poison, right? Basically guaranteed to poison with every shot. That doesn't do a whole lot against this demon here, but it's something. I tried to build up the pyromancy tree, or the magic tree, simply because I wanted the trophy. And I wound up a few levels short of all the points I needed, and got cut in basically the final scene here of the end game, and I was like, oh well, I guess I missed that one. Kind of a waste of a playthrough, but that's cool. It's coming in handy, you know, magic's a little stronger. You set your enemies on fire a little more often. Magic regens a little quicker. You have more base magic, so you can fire off a few more fireballs. So, I mean, you know, it's not a complete waste. But on my armor, I pick armor that's magic resistant, okay, because that's not something you can craft into your gear. That's something it either has on it or it doesn't. You usually have a choice between either poison resistance or magic resistance, all right? And then you can put extra poison resistance or dark magic resistance, which is a whole different thing. Usually looks like purple skulls, all right? Or fire resistance, and I don't know where that comes in handy. Maybe it's not fire resistance. Maybe it's extra fire effects with your spells. Maybe that's what I'm thinking. But anyway, it doesn't matter. What I usually put is physical resistance from basic physical attacks and health regen. Okay, and then when I'm given the option, I can also increase my trap damage by a few points. And I'll take that to give your traps just a little extra punch. But for this battle, it was the magic armor, magic resistant armor. I think it was called Elite Soldier's Gear or something like that. But anyway, whatever magic resistant armor you have on hand, I would recommend for this fight. And health regen seemed to come in handy for me. With the warrior, you have one advantage is that built into your skill tree comes extra health regen while you're in warrior stance, and then you can, of course, stack that with crafting it into your armor, and so you become a healing machine. All right. Another tactic is, if you're not concentrating on the magic tree, is to incorporate that into your build, and even if you're concentrating on daggers, get your warrior tree up to the point where you can get extra health regen. And then if you need a quick boost in health regen, switch to your warrior stance and, you know, dodge and evade and run around a little bit, try not to get hit, and your health should go back up pretty fast, all right? As well as your potions, of course. All right, and then with my daggers, I put interruption on it. Now, for you Dark Souls fans, you'll be familiar with poise. Interruption is basically poise break, okay? It's the equivalent of stun locking your opponents. Okay, and the higher your interruption ability, the more you're, of course, able to keep your enemies off balance, where you can do follow-up hits. And you can essentially turn your strong attacks into combos and sit there and essentially just spam your triangle or your Y button on your enemies and keep them stun-locked and mash on them indefinitely. It really came in handy with the concubines and the, what are those defiler guys? The flappy-winged demon dudes. And the big dudes with the, what looked like, again, a Dark Souls reference, the big Dark Moon blades, the really, really long scimitar-looking swords that those guys had, you know, the 10-foot-long swords with the glowing magic on them that basically 1 or 2 hit you. Okay, those guys, keeping them stun-locked really, really helped. Anyway, put interrupt on your dagger. If you have the warrior stance, one advantage you have is you can put interruption into your armor and into your skill tree and on your weapon. So you could essentially stagger more often, but you swing a lot slower. With the daggers, I've found that when I stack interruption on both the hilt and the pommel, I do a little tiny less damage, but I keep my opponent staggered. So essentially I do more damage because I spend less time having to dodge and evade, because if you don't have them staggered, they're swinging at you too. Okay, so my daggers basically hit as hard as a two-handed sword, but I swing twice as fast. So, you know, all kinds of comes out in the wash. The advantage to daggers more than anything else is the ability to evade and sprint during combat. That's invaluable, especially here when you're dodging the bullet storms that the demon's throwing at you and things of that nature. And basically just trying to get somewhere, you know. Okay, and this, I mean, you can see the basic attack patterns, more or less. Pretty much set moves. You have large AoE effects, close range, long range, then you have those targeted ranged attacks. And once you've beat all the soft points on the dragon, then immediately the demon spawns out of its invincibility state and starts attacking you with the demon's range of attacks. And they seem to be, if you're at a distance, the demon will drop these orbs into the ground and they start shooting at you, what I call bullet storm, right? And then sometimes the demon can shoot single, more potent magic attacks at you, and then when both the demon's hands start to glow, it's about to do a slow charge at you, where it does kind of a flippy thing through the air, and regardless of where you're at on the map, it can essentially hit you from there. And I like to lay a trap while the demon's airborne, so about the time it reaches you, if you dodge right on time, then the demon goes flying and you can get in behind the demon. I think they have a little more stun resistance on this higher difficulty, because I noticed on normal, I was able to keep the demon almost indefinitely stun-locked, attacking it from behind with my daggers. Same daggers I'm using now. This one, not so much. I could stagger the demon, but to a point. I couldn't keep it infinitely stun-locked. It drugged this fight out a little bit more, because I think, I don't think the demon goes into its invincibility stance based on its amount of health. I think it goes after a certain amount of time, and so if you can't do too much damage while you've got the demon active, then you have to keep worrying about, you know, going into the series where you have to fight the dragon. then fight the demon, and if you don't do much damage, you could wind up dragging this out into a, I don't know, 10, 12, 14 series fight, I guess. That's just how it seems to me. Like I said, I don't think it was a certain amount of health that caused the demon to go into that stance. I think it was a period of time. Crossbow comes in handy. Notice I spent a lot of crossbow bolts here. Didn't really get into the magic much until towards the end. But I found that to be an effective, though not quite as ranged as the crossbow. Honestly, the magic seemed to hit a little more often. Crossbow tended to miss quite a bit. If the target's moving, the bolt goes to wherever it was when you shot it, I think. And so it tends to miss more often than not. That's another melee attack that the dragon had that I just now became aware of. Didn't do too terribly much damage, that's good. You're only going to get in a certain amount of attacks on the paws before he either bites at you, or does that, or stomps on you. Okay, I think he was about to go into an animation to do something. Glad I locked him out of that. Alright. And almost immediately, the demon goes back to work. Seems to be firing just a little faster now. And I don't know if that increases each time you go into a series with the demon or not. I'm not sure. That combo right there, you get caught in the middle of that, and that's pretty much it. That last strike is going to basically kill you from full health. So if it's touched you with any of the rest of them, it's over. Like I say, being able to sprint here also is really nice. And that's the lunge attack. And notice those traps. Traps will usually knock that demon on its face, and you can come in from behind and go to work. There you go. You have just enough time to lay it and dodge. You got to catch him right in the beginning of doing that. It's nice to have flaming weapons active too. Oh, great. And another series with Dragon. Got close. And a suggestion is if you get to half health, eat a potion. Get to half health, because you're probably not going to take one more hit after that. Yeah, I think the magic is actually more effective than the crossbow. You can get away without a crossbow at all, really, essentially. Although with the magic you have to essentially stop to cast it, whereas with the crossbow you can do more firing on the run. So I guess if I learned anything from this, it'd be magic against the dragon, crossbow against the demon. Also, I believe Guardian Flames help protect against those magic orbs. Probably not against the magic breath, but against the magic orbs. I think they reduce the incoming damage too from the other stuff. But alright, hopefully I can make this the last series. Honestly, probably staying closer to the demon would help bait it into more melee type stuff instead of this constant spamming of ranged stuff. But if it's doing ranged attacks, that means it's not doing that melee combo thing on me, which is actually better, because I can handle one, maybe even two of those magic orbs, but I can't handle one of its combos. So if it wants to keep its distance, that's fine. I have no problem with that. Alright, most of these are going to go to waste because I'm essentially almost done here. But just in case I have to do a whole nother series against the dragon for some reason. Yeah, each orb is just a little less than half health. If I didn't have the magic protection, it would probably be closer to 2/3 or 3/4 health, each one. You get hit by 2 consecutive, you're dead, type of thing. Well, as long as the demon wants to stand still, my crossbow bolts are going to hit. And that's it. We did it on Captain. Cool thing is I went from normal to Captain, and later the Buffalo and the Captain trophies popped up. So essentially, if you played your first game on Captain, you would get the achievements for all three of the top difficulties at once. Went drunken monkey style on me, man. What's up with that? My inner self is truly is secretly a kung fu monk or a ninja or something.
I knew that thou wouldst allow these humans to corrupt thee.
A dragon. You summoned a dragon.
Ha! One of the few they were able to corrupt, and I turned it against them. Black Storm defeated it and imprisoned it here. It was trapped like me.
So now you turned it against me.
It is thee who has turned against me, abandoning me here, left to pay the price for each and all of thy errors in thy stead, whilst I did all I could to help thee to return. And so it is, I am come to the end of my strength. An empty shell o'ertaken with rot. I did not wish to harm thee, but I no longer am master of all that I do. Is that why thou hast killed my companions?
Is that why you killed my companions?
The visions? Speak rather to thy human half, for that is who hath invoked them, with its fear and its regrets. Thy companions never traveled through the breach.
So it comes to this. You
Kind of like three people talking here.
It's time we ended this.
Ha! It is all I have awaited. Remove these accursed lances from me, and let the world heart become whole once more.
My inner self talking to the other half of my inner self.
The necromancers will be the first into the fire.
Alright, here's where you make a decision. And even though I'm fully demonized, well, I already got the trophy for that. So, I don't think I'm gonna wipe out the whole world.
And the necromancers will be left powerless.
As powerless as when they enslaved the world heart. No,
There is a trophy for both decisions, though, by the way.
They must be annihilated.
I'll track them down. The Deadwalkers will be gone, the survivors will have a chance, and Vertiel will be rebuilt, little by little.
Little by little? It would take centuries, nay, thousands of years for thy world to rebuild its energy. The world heart hath not been remade whole. Thou must permit me to rejoin with mine other half.
So that you can take over and burn Vertiel? No thanks. I am the most powerful being in the two worlds. I've got responsibilities.
Thou wilt use me to reign over them, as did the necromancers. How long dost thou imagine that I shall allow thee to use me in this way?
I don't know, but you'd better get used to it. You were the one.
Guess we're almost
talking
supposed to
about
feel sorry for the
centuries
demon.
and thousands of years before our worlds can be rebuilt. And I plan on being right there to keep an eye on them. Meanwhile, let me enjoy this victory in silence. Do you mind?
Right, shut up. I win. And there's been a little humor mixed in with the dialogue, kind of a human element mixed in there all through the whole game. They did a good job with the dialogue, voice acting, and such. Alright, and here I am by myself. Imagine that. Alright, guys, and that's it. Final boss, Captain Difficulty, and I would strongly suggest you RPG fans check out this game. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. To watch some more smackdown of our enemies, click on the top box. Go to my channel playlist and browse other game vids, click on the bottom one. And if you like my videos, mash on the subscribe button up top and leave a comment. Alright, thanks again. I'll catch you on the next one.